Welcome back to Patrick Christie's Tonight, and a recording has been unearthed of a teacher appearing to promote critical race theory with their students. Here's a listen of it.
I don't agree with the government saying I can't teach critical race theory, but that's also because I know that I would do a better job at teaching critical race theory than other people. So critical race theory would say you can't be racist to white culture. And so it's kind of like, it's like when people say, oh, the theory of evolution, but it has the word theory in it, so it can't be proven. Well, actually, scientists would say we use the word theory even when we're like 95% sure. The way the government makes it makes it sound like, half of people believe something and half people don't believe something, when actually it's probably closer to like 80% of sociologists versus 20%.
Well, the school involved there said that there's been no complaints and that the clip was taken out of context. But should we be worried about woke ideology like that infiltrating our schools? I'm joined now by the COO of the Conservative Friends of the Commonwealth, Sunil Sharma. Sunil, thank you very, very much. I mean, when you hear things like that being said in schools, critical race theory would suggest that you can't be racist towards white people, etc., that teacher clearly feels he knows better than the government, putting critical race theory on a par with the theory of evolution. I mean, what do you think of that?
I think it's totally absurd, and it's really worrying that this ideology that's been mainly going on in America of critical race theory is now being imported to the UK. Critical race theory is simple. It's focusing on our differences, and it's rewarding victimization. And I think it's something that we really need to be very wary of and very careful that it doesn't continue to spiral into the UK, because this is something that I think it's only going to grow, and I don't know what this government stance will be when it comes to critical race theory, but I think we have to be very careful that we don't see almost an Americanization of our UK schools.
I'm not really sure what the benefit of teaching an incredibly contested, and some would argue actually quite irrelevant, race theory when it comes to this country's history to a load of people you would imagine in many schools, the majority of whom will actually be white as well. I just wonder what kind of psychological issue that could have on children.
Well, I think the bigger thing, Patrick, people should be focused on when it comes to school is white boys. They are the group of children who are suffering the most. They're the ones who are doing the least well in education. And all this will do is make that situation even worse. We're teaching them to feel guilty. We're teaching them to feel bad about things that happened almost a century ago, if not longer. And all it's going to continue to ruin their confidence. And so it makes no sense. We look at all other ethnic groups. You look at Indian culture, you look at British Jews, Chinese, all these races are doing better than British white boys. And considering the majority of our population when it comes to workforce is white and they are male, that's really concerning, because these boys are going to become one day men, and these men are going to take on jobs. And considering that they're going to be not doing as well on an educational scale, that is bad for all races in this country, because they're going to make up majority of the workforce, and their declining in standards is something that we should be talking about and not critical race theory.
Yeah, I mean, it does make me laugh, really, when people say, oh, I don't actually really think that you can be racist towards a white person, all of that stuff. I mean, I've had people be racist towards me. I mean, yeah, all right, it's not keeping me awake at night, but it has happened. I mean, it is a thing that can happen. Anyone can be racist to anybody else as well. It also makes me laugh when you hear about schools, oh, we've not got enough funding, All right, okay, well, what about all of that month-long Pride stuff that you've somehow found the money for? What about all of this resources and the time that you've got to teach kids incredibly contested racial theory? They seem to find the money and the time and the resources for woke stuff, just maybe not for maths and English.
It's bizarre. These children should be going into school being learned to be the brightest and best pupils, and it's just not happening. It's happening in other countries, hence why their productivity is better than ours. I think we're more focused on things that are irrelevant. This is not going to help any of the children when they get a real job, whether we're talking about pride or critical race theory. What is the purpose of teaching this if not just creating division? So I think it's really bizarre. It's really concerning, and the focus of these schools should be to try and make our children cleverer and push them further education-wise, and that will improve us when it comes to productivity and work. It seems really bizarre that we're focused on things that are just irrelevant. Again, it's something that's being tested in America, which is where we seem to have imported it from. It's completely irrelevant, I think, even there, let alone here. And it's bizarre that we're now sitting and discussing this.
Well, indeed. And look, I would like to thank you very much for your time this evening. I do hope to talk to you about this again soon. So I've got a feeling that we're going to be hearing quite a lot more about this stuff. And I just feel as though there's something brewing here, and hopefully we can do a bit more to highlight